What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am the big man on campus. We are live here on a Sunday. The first full week of shows commences today, our first week. We go back to the scene of the crime where we were last Sunday. Spread Astaire joins us. Spread, it has been a fun week so far. It's been a tough week. It's been hard to gauge. It's typical middle to almost the end of the season in the NBA. Just trying to navigate through. We got a busy Sunday card today. Hope everyone's having a great day. As always, we are presented by the great folks at PicksWise and powered by FanDuel. I hope you're having a great weekend. Spread, how you doing? Good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm pretty excited for today's card, and I had a pretty good week in general. But you said it right. You're going to have to be selective going forward, and there's no shame in passing on these games and just having it on your TV and maybe taking some notes on individual matchups. To get ready for your playoff prep. But a lot of these games are really tough. These lines are tight. I had a pretty good week, but I have to be honest. I mean, a lot of them were by a half point, right? So it's not like I'm out here just crushing it. Things fell my way, but it definitely, made me sure to be careful going forward because these lines that they're putting up are pretty sharp.
Yeah, they really are. 8 games today. Quickly, let's just kind of recap what we saw last night. Nice win for the Hornets over the Pistons. LaMelo Ball was obviously very helpful in that game. We talked yesterday. Not really sure why Isaiah Stewart's rebound prop was 12.5, 11.5. Has 2 rebounds. Again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I don't know what the hell that price was. That was one of the weirdest props I've seen in some time. Warriors, they pull away from the Rockets. Curry with a big game. We hit that prop. But I do want to talk about the losers I had. Spread, I got to tell you, that Magic game was rough, man. It was kind of pacing right around 216, 217, had the total under 220.5. All I needed was the Grizzlies to defend the final possession, not go to overtime, not give up a bucket to tie the game. And what do? They give up a Cole Anthony 3 at the buzzer. Game goes over. Rough beat there on that one.
Yeah, that was a rough beat, but I'll tell you what, I've been impressed with Cole Anthony so far. And when teams like the Magic make that decision to go ahead and tank, this is the reason you do it. Let's get these younger guys, develop them, see what we've got, ready to move on. I know you saw that in Philadelphia, right? And Covington emerged, right? A guy that we never expected, and he's been a regular contributor in the league, for years since he got that opportunity. So, credit to Cole Anthony for taking advantage of the opportunities that he's getting down there in Orlando with all that extra run. But yeah, that was a tough one and tough way to end yesterday. And like I said, these lines are pretty sharp. They're coming right down to the last basket.
Exactly. We talked yesterday on the show about Ski and I about Atlanta and how they got Trae Young back. He had a game under his belt. It was really, to me, to watch Atlanta come out and really defend at a high level. Chicago's really struggling to score the basketball right now without Zach LaVine, and they did a great job. Atlanta pull away and win by 11, only give up 97. Nice effort from them. Wizards cover again, which was – again, it's hard to fade the Wizards right now. Playing great basketball, covering a lot of games. Jazz continue to struggle. They don't cover a big number. Shout out to the Nuggets, man. I thought the Clippers, I thought this was a great spot just with the way the line looked. We got Kawhi Leonard. He played 30 minutes, had 16 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. You figure Kawhi Leonard coming back should be a Clipper win and a Clipper cover. Not so fast. I'll tell you what, man, the Nuggets continue to be a kryptonite, man. They are tough to fade. They're tough to really do anything against. Seems like when I back them, they play terribly. And when I fade them, they win as 6-7 point dogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great matchup there for Jokic. Zubac can't do anything. He can't guard him up front. He can't guard him at the three-point line.
Yes.
Can't guard him in the high post. Can't guard him in the low post. And it's one of the few players that they can't just switch Leonard or George on, right, to slow them down because he's so big. He passes so well, right? And we can't downplay the emergence of Michael Porter Jr., averaging close to 30 points a game to absorb the offensive load that Murray left right there. And he's just been fantastic. He's just another big guy. This team can be really big, and I was a little skeptical about Aaron Gordon joining, but he's just a big, versatile defender, and he just makes that team so much bigger. We saw them get destroyed on the offensive glass by the Lakers last year when they were eliminated. I think that the moves for Gordon and McGee, are meant to mitigate for maybe that potential matchup. So I was impressed with what I saw from Denver last night, and Jokic just put another feather in his MVP cap right there because I thought it was an excellent performance by him as well.
Yeah, you got to wonder where Denver would kind of be where if Jamal Murray was in there. I mean, this would
Yep.
be a sure NBA caliber title contender
Hmm.
when they still may be. We'll see. Really continue to play very well. Jokic has been terrific. As we know, he is your bona fide MVP. 8 games today, as I said. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about them. Again, we talk about everything on this show, props, against the number, over, under, really whatever you want. If you have a comment or question, you want to say something, please feel free to hit the chat box. We are trying to build something here on the NBA Hoops Betting Hour. Obviously, it is spring, the summer. We all know how people love football and college hoops, but the NBA is here. We're getting closer and closer to playoff time. And before you do that, make sure when you're getting ready for the playoffs, you're taking a look at FanDuel. FanDuel, one of the great options for sports bettors in America, have all sorts of great promotions and bonuses, have literally everything. You want to bet soccer, you want to bet boxing, you want to bet motor race, at NASCAR, cricket, NBA, whatever you want, baseball. FanDuel's got you covered. Make sure if you have a problem gambling, you call 1-800-GAMBLER. But FanDuel, the place to go, the place to be. It's a place I bet. If you're in Colorado, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, wherever you get gambling, take a look at FanDuel. Spread, let's get into the games. What do you say? We've got a really great national TV game tonight, 3:45 Eastern. Going to be on your national TV. What would this be? ABC?
Yep.
Doris Burke calling it, I'm sure. Going to be a great game. Brooklyn at Milwaukee. Brooklyn getting 2.5. So Milwaukee, a slight home favorite here. Probably should be. Over-under is 243. What could you ask for? You hope for a big offensive explosion. Two great teams. You got Kevin Durant. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo. You got Kyrie Irving. You got all sorts of stars on the court. But it's really going to be fun to watch KD and Giannis, right? When you look at this game, you made a point earlier about you don't have to bet every game. Sometimes you can just watch games and just take notes and just enjoy games. This should be a great game for a neutral fan. Is the difference, though, in this game defense? Obviously, Milwaukee play at a much higher level defensively. But then you throw out the fact that KD is arguably the best player in the world. He's one of the best scorers we've ever seen at this level. And the Nets spread are 12-7 this year, catching points. This should be a great game. Should be up and down. Should be tons of fun offensively. I got to tell you, probably just going to watch this game as a fan. I will tell you, though, if this is 3, I might lean Nets. Very good at the dog. I think with Kevin Durant, they're just as we know, they're a different team. And they're just a group that in this spot against the Bucks, I just think they had some better ancillary pieces. I'll lean with the Nets here. But I'm probably not going to bet this one. This is just a great game for me to watch. Stand alone. The lines are going to be sharp.
Yeah, I like your look on the Nets here. So I went ahead and I rewatched their game from January this morning. A lot of things have changed since then. Harden played in that one. Kyrie did not. DeAndre Jordan got big minutes. Since then, he's kind of been pushed out of the lineup. I wonder if they will bring him back out. I thought he did quite well. I mean, you're not going to stop Giannis, but he went ahead. He backed off him, basically dared him to shoot the jumpers. And when Giannis did drive, I thought he did a pretty good job. He's a big guy as well. Not the same athletic guy that he used to be, but he's still a pretty good athlete. He did a good job contesting with Giannis and pretty much, coaxing him into shooting jumpers rather than attacking the rim. So it'll be interesting to see if they use DeAndre Jordan for more run. And another thing that I did notice from watching the Bucks and then going back and watching this game from January is how much the addition of PJ Tucker really helps this Bucks defense to be able to rotate. And so one thing I will be looking for in this game tonight is are they going to put Tucker on Durant and can he bother him at all? Because it's going to be interesting to see how they move with Durant the Bucks play such good defense, but Durant can score on anybody, right? So you can even play the best defense, scheme the best defense, execute it perfectly, and Durant can still get that bucket. I think that's the edge that they're going to have at the end of the game. When it comes down to it, if it's really close in the last 3 or 4 minutes, I'm probably going to be getting some Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday ISOs, and then on the other side, I'll get Kyrie and Durant ISOs. I think I trust those Nets ISOs a little more. I think if the Bucks are going to win this game, they need to get out early, use their defense, and they need to keep a comfortable lead. I don't think they want this thing close going down to the end. And the last reason why I'm leaning towards the Nets, this team has completely looked at the big games this year. So against teams over 500 this year, they're 24-9. That's a 72% winning percentage. In fact, against teams below 500, they're 19-12, only 61%. So this team is obviously picking and choosing its spots. I think they will pick and choose to get a good performance here today. So if you want me to go down on a spot here, I'm going to go ahead and take the Nets with you.
Yeah, again, you look at the fact that you're getting points. We know they have tons to play for both these teams, very high level basketball teams. We also have to remember Brooklyn, number one in the NBA in offensive efficiency. This is going to be a fun game. You got two teams, 1-2 in points per game. It's going to be up and down, but I like some of your points, one of which on Jordan. Look, give me Kevin Durant any day of the week. I'm going to lean on this. Plus, we're getting 2.5 points here. Is this a best bet for me? No. But I like your points, especially with the fact of how they play against higher end teams. Again, also 12-7 Brooklyn as a dog this season. So very good as an underdog. Next one, Portland at Boston. Portland laying 1.5 or 1. It's kind of been right flipping back, 1.5. Total 233.5. I backed Portland Friday night in a similar position against Brooklyn. I'm backing them again here. Okay, I'm looking at recency bias. Boston put, and I know they didn't play last night, but Boston put a lot into that comeback against the San Antonio Spurs. Jason Tatum, incredible. 60 points. He scored 95 over the last 2 games. But again, I know how the NBA better reacts. I know what they look at. What are we going to think of? Recency bias. Boston, a very public team. We know what Tatum's done. We know they're at home. They're going to be a dog against Portland. I think the growing sentiment is a lot of gamblers do not watch Portland games on the regular. They just don't. We know Damian Lillard's legit, but we also know, I think most people would agree, we know Portland's not a good defense team, but neither is Boston. Boston continues to look good in certain games, like what they did Friday. Then they come out and lay a real egg against a team like a Portland. So I'm going to lean on Portland here. I'm playing the 1.5. I'm even seeing it moving up to 2. I'm on Portland. This is a best bet, one of my best bets. I like Portland. I'm going to trust them. I'm going to trust 2 efficient offenses, but I'm going to trust a team that, just to be honest, I just have a little bit more interest. And Portland is good as a they were good as a dog when they were being a dog when I capped this game. They were a dog when I capped this game. They're now 1.5, 2-point favorite. Something's going on here with Boston. Do we know what that is?
Yep, it's Jaylen Brown added to the report as questionable, and he's huge. And
so he's not going to play.
Do you think that he's not going to play then if they added him this late?
Yeah, and the number's moving that way. So yeah, I'm gonna lean on the fact that he doesn't play. Look.
And that's what kept me off Boston. I actually was leaning towards Boston here. This is another one that I went ahead and reviewed some video this morning. I watched the game that they played in Portland on April 13th. And I'll tell you what, I noticed that Kemba Walker played really well. He was already scheduled to be out, right? He had 21, 8, and 7 that game. So that's going to be one thing for them that they're going to need to overcome here. And then Jaylen Brown played well as well, 24, 4, and 2. I did like the forward matchups watching Brown and Tatum. I thought that they were able to work. Covington can only guard one guy at a time. So whoever Covington was on, right, they could attack the other guy. Derrick Jones Jr. was brought in for situations like these. For whatever reason, he hasn't caught on with his team. So I'll be interested to see if he gets some run here today. He did not in the last game that they played against each other. Only 14 minutes. And he didn't score at all, or he had 3 points, but all off free throws here. An interesting thing here also is Aaron Naismith will have to step up here. He had a very good game against San Antonio. See if he can continue to improve. But I kind of lean towards Boston, and with that Jaylen Brown news, I'm pretty much off this game. and I'm thinking of leaning with you towards the Blazers here. Boy, it's a tough spot for them to just try and lean on Tatum again over and over again.
Yep. Yep.
Although I do think he does have a favorable matchup. One interesting also thing about this matchup is I feel like you have this Portland team that has terrible defense with the backups, and then you have a Boston team that has terrible offense, right, on their backups. In the last game, it was the terrible Portland defense that prevailed as they only got 10 points off the bench, 5 from Tristan, 3 from Grant Williams, and 2 from Peyton Pritchard. So look to those reserve minutes as the key because, if Portland's able to absorb those reserve minutes and not get blown out when they run those Cantor Anthony lineups, which, as well as I do, that's just deceived defensively. It's just absolutely terrible. If they can absorb that and win those minutes, I mean, I think that they can close it out there at the end. And, Dame Lillard, as good as Marcus Smart is defensively, right? Lillard can score on anybody. So this should be a fun one. And I was looking towards Boston, but with Jaylen Brown out, I'm flipping to your side, and I'm thinking maybe Portland is the play.
Portland scored 125 or more in 4 of the last 5. We know how good this offense is with Powell, with Lillard, with McCollum, with Nurkic, with Carmelo, even Anthony Simmons. If he can give you in 15, 20 minutes, if he can give you 10 points a game, it's huge.
Yeah.
Look, maybe Covington can do something against Tatum. We'll see. Isn't this why you brought Robert Covington into this team to do stuff like that? So hopefully he can play like the defender I think at least think he is or can be. I laid the 1.5. So definitely going to be a play for me here with Portland. They were good to me Friday. Let's see if they'll be good to me tonight. Next one, Miami Heat. Headed on the road to take on the Charlotte Hornets. Miami laying 5, total 211.5. Talked in the little recap we did about the Hornets. Nice win last night against, I think we could say pesky Detroit team. As we know, Detroit profitable this year against the spread. But they pull away. They win the game by margin. And you look at really the difference in the game spread. They win by 13. LaMelo Ball comes back, 11 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. He's the difference. If LaMelo Ball doesn't play, they may not win the game. They need every basketball game they play in right now. That's how important every game is to the Charlotte Hornets being right there in that 8 spot. Miami, I don't trust. We've talked about them before. They got a nice win last night against Cleveland, but as we know with Cleveland, that's not anything to write home about. Hornets very good as a home dog as well. Covered 11 of 17 this year as a home dog. I have no interest in the Heat. I think the number is probably right where it should be, so I don't know if there's a ton of betting value for me. I think you're getting a slight tick of value. I had to put it more at like 3.5, 4, 4.5. 5 could be a little high. Hornets, been good as a dog. Obviously, they're going to play every game that they need. They think they can win. Pretty good defensively. I'll lean on the Hornets. Not a best bet or anything, but I think the number is a bit high.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. A couple things to note for the Heat. Goran Dragic, doubtful. We know how important he is to the Miami offense because they do really miss his shot creation when he's out. No Tyler Hero still. He's been out for a little while. And Bielika, I don't really know if he matters that much. On the other side, Gordon Hayward's still out. Devontae Graham did not play last night, but he is questionable. If he's in, I really like the extra boost that gives them to create offense on the perimeter. And I think that we could have a situation where they are able to create more efficient shots than Miami is. The thing is, how are they going to stop Bam Adebayo? That's my concern keeping me off this game. We know that Charlotte's been kind of weak in the middle, relying on Zeller. PJ Washington's okay, but he does definitely struggle defensively here. I'm off this game, but if you made me choose a side, I'd probably lean towards taking the points with the Hornets. But I think it's a tough spot, especially with the uncertainty on the Hornets, who's playing, and how healthy they really are.
Yeah, when you look at the Miami Heat, I mean, offensively, I mean, can we just get to the point that like they suck? I mean, they're not good offensively. Okay, they haven't shot the ball well this year. You look at their percentage of points from 3-pointers. They've always been pretty dependent, obviously with Hero and Duncan Robinson. They just haven't shot the ball real well this year, and they've not been consistent. They've been gutless at times, frankly. And you've got an upstart Charlotte team that just continues to answer the bell a lot of the time. I like this young team a lot. Really, really like the way they're going. And I think as a fan base, that is not I mean, that's one of the smallest markets in the NBA. It's not an easy place to win. Just ask the Bobcats over the years. Michael Jordan has struggled as an owner, but this team is exciting, and this is the kind of when you draft a player like LaMelo Ball, this is what you get. And you have a young team. There's a lot of excitement. And you're right. That's a big win last night without a guy like Devontae Graham. Look, they don't have a ton of high-level players. I mean, they have Rozier and Ball and Monk, and then, just a bunch of guys that give you, 15, 16, 20 a game. They kind of find a way. So good for Charlotte. They're kind of everything you want in a young NBA team. And I think to get the best of a Miami team tonight, that just continues to show. Look, anytime we get consistent Max Strus, players like that, I'm in for fading the Heat. But again, numbers kind of right where you want it to be. With 8 games, is it the best game on the board? No, but I think it's if you're leaning Charlotte, I would definitely agree with you. Knicks headed on the road to take on the gutless Houston Rockets, the disgusting Houston Rockets. Knicks laying 10.5, total 217.5. We look back to last night's game for the Rockets, okay, against Golden State. The game was, I believe, tied, or actually they were leading spread at the end of the first quarter. And at halftime, it was 55. I think it was tied, 55-55.
It's 55-49.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the
Rockets were ahead. Yeah,
Yep,
at halftime.
yep.
A 39-12 third quarter doomed them.
Yeah, they're up 6. They get just run out in the third quarter. Stephen Curry, I think, hit 4 or 5 threes or I think 3 or 4 threes in the third quarter. Beautiful stuff. And the Rockets run away and hide. Now, look, no one has to sell to anyone here that the Knicks aren't very good against the number. We know how good the Knicks have been. We know how upstart they are. And we know how bad Houston is. Houston also off a back-to-back here. Knicks have covered 13 of 14 overall. But here's the issue tonight, Spread. The Knicks are very good as a favorite. But they have not been a favorite this year over 6.5 points. Believe that. Do you believe that? It's crazy.
And it actually doesn't surprise me. If you think about it, one of the reasons that their number is so good against the spread is we didn't have good expectations for the team. Going back to when we did previews, preseason, right? A lot of us didn't have the Knicks in a playoff. We're scouting the lottery, which player would fit in well here. So, credit to Thibodeau. But they haven't had a lot of respect from the odds makers. They've done quite well against the number here. But you make a good point. Is this a little too far? You talk about Houston being terrible, and they are. But they were actually 4-3 when they were catching double digits in April. So I think it's just one of those things where they always lose. They're going to lose, but for whatever reason, they stay pretty close to that number, even if they're down, like 10 or 15 the whole game, or a game like last night where they just completely fall apart in the third quarter. Obviously, the back-to-back hurts. The fact that they're constantly shuffling people in and out of this injury report isn't helpful for Houston, but it looks like they're going to put Sterling Brown, Daniel House, and Avery Bradley out there tonight. I'm not going to bet this game, but if I did, I hate to do it. I'd probably take the points, but you talked about that Knicks winning streak. Is there a good reason for me to force a play here and get in front of that train? There's not.
No, because while you do have some reservations about laying double digits for the Knicks, because they just don't do that ever. I also have reservations about. I've tried to bet these spots and give Houston the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, well, maybe they're going to hang around.
Yeah.
But they don't. Here's something to keep in mind, though. Maybe if you're liking this game, you like the Knicks, you're thinking, I don't want to bet Houston. Maybe you go first half for the Knicks. I'm not saying you do that, but the Knicks are bottom 3 in the NBA in second half scoring. Okay. So, this is a team that have had a lot of success in the first half this year. Maybe they kind of throw in, maybe they're up 12 or 13 with 3 or 4 minutes to go, or whatever. And you get a backup or two in there. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think the line is pretty good as far as just Houston's so unbearable right now. But it's a Sunday. We know the Knicks are continuing to gain a lot of popularity from a public standpoint. I would agree with you. Gun to my head, you give me $100 bet, I would probably take Houston. But time and time again with Houston and Oklahoma City and teams like this, you just light your money on fire because they'll hang around for, let's say 35, 40 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes of the game, they just get run out and lose by 16 every game. So I don't know.
I think that you got the right look there with the first half. The Knicks 41-20 this year against the spread in the first half.
Very good.
That might be the way to go here.
One of the top teams in the NBA, if not the top team in the NBA in the first half. So yeah,
Rockets the exact opposite, 22-40 in the first half.
How about that? Yeah. I mean, the Rockets are also the worst team in the league against the spread. So, yeah, my advice, skip this game.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
I don't think there's any shame in that at all.
That's what I would do here. Next one. My Philadelphia 76ers headed down to the Alamo Dome to take on or not the Alamo Dome, the AT&T Center, I think it's called. They're not in the Alamo Dome anymore. Sixers taking on the Spurs, total 6.5. Spread 6.5, total 220.5. Spread, by the way, little travel note. San Antonio, very nice place. I've been down there. It's a nice place. And this is a beautiful arena, one of the cleanest arenas I've ever been in. They've got just really great amenities like this place. When the pandemic is all but over and past us, I definitely want to get down there. Maybe next year for another game. I would love to see the Sixers down there. This is a great, great place, San Antonio. I love their basketball. This is an interesting game. Obviously, tough news last couple of days. Derek White out for the rest of the season. He had really been starting to play well for the upstart Spurs. Look, we know kind of a young team full of guys that they have DeMar DeRozan and Rudy Gay, but then they also have really young guys like Lonnie Walker or Johnson or whoever. This is a Sixer team that just kind of answered the call. I mean, they have been crushing teams lately. You kind of didn't really want a day off because they had just been destroying teams. They destroy the Hawks in both games, destroy the Thunder. So they have been kind of on a roll over the last three where I think they've won every game by 20 or more. So they've been on the roll here. Coming down to San Antonio, always tough. We always know Pop has teams prepared. I'm kind of looking a different way in this game. I've been kind of dipping my toes a little bit in the prop markets. I see Steph Curry. It's not Steph Curry. Seth Curry over 9.5 points here. He scored 9 or more in 5 of the last 6 games, starting to kind of find his stride a little bit. This is a Spur group spread, 24th in the NBA in opponent 3-point percentage. You'd have to figure he gets some looks tonight from 3. I really like what I've seen from Seth Curry recently. He's starting to really become a good option for the Sixers off the bench. We know they're not going to go to a guy like Thibault for instant offense. I'm starting to figure that Seth Curry is kind of your constant. Just give me the average. Give me 10 points tonight. That's going to hit this prop. I'm going to take a shot. Seth Curry over 9.5 points against a Spurs defense that, look, I don't think is particularly good. I don't think they're particularly good against the 3. I think Curry has 4 to 5 opportunities from 3. Let's see if he can hit 3 threes, get a free throw or 2, and hit that over 9.5.
Hey, Seth Curry, great point here. Right during the offseason, when that trade was made, didn't you think, it's pretty good for both teams, right? At this point, we can say that Daryl Morey absolutely fleeced him, and that Josh Richardson, maybe a lot of that success had to do with Spoelstra and that system down in Miami, because he didn't look that way in Philadelphia, and he's not looking that way on Dallas right now. And you look at that Dallas offense and how much they missed that sharpshooting. I think that was such a good move by Morey, so underrated, and now we can just say how much he means to that offense. I think you got a great look here, and I actually like your team here a lot. I'm a little concerned about, San Antonio's traditionally been a really good road team. Credit to Popovich, he always gets them motivated, ready to play, and he rewards effort on defense, and you can see that in the team. This will be the 5th game on a road trip. It's been tough. They've been in New Orleans, Washington, Miami, Boston. Now they head home. First game back on that from a road trip. Almost treat it like a road game, not a home game. We know how tough it is for these guys to get back in town, get everything going. I usually like the second game a lot better to take the home team here. And you talked about this Philadelphia team blowing other teams away. They are playing great. And San Antonio, good team. I like the way they do play. They play some good team defense. They're going to look small tonight against this Philadelphia team. They are going to look small. There's going to be no answer for Embiid. Even Simmons is going to feel like a beast. Danny Green, Tobias Harris. These guys are going to have the size advantage on their side. I really think this is a really tough spot for San Antonio. I like Philly to keep it rolling here, and I'm going to be on your hometown heroes here. I think they get it done.
The Sixers absolutely destroyed the Spurs in the first game, won by 35, 134-99. This right now is a
And did Embiid miss that game?
I believe he did. Yeah.
It was the Ben Simmons show, if I remember.
One other thing I'm going to throw out there. This does not, I think, bode well for the Spurs because the Spurs have looked obliged when their opponent will run, they run. Mm-hmm. And the Sixers are a top 10 pace team. But the difference between a team like the Wizards or the Celtics that they played recently, Sixers defend at a high level. I have a lot of issues. The Spurs defensively suck. They've given up 140 or more in 2 of the last 3 games. I just don't think it's a particularly good matchup, and I think that'll lead to people like Seth Curry, Seth Curry is going to get 25 minutes tonight. Let's just hope he can make the best of it. 9.5, not crazy. I kind of looked at I was thinking of 3 or more threes. That was, I think, plus money. So, I think 9.5 looks fine. I think he gets 10 to 12 points here tonight. Let's hope, and we hit that prop. Okay, next one. Suns at OKC. Suns laying 16.
That's total. Switched. Oh wait, no, never mind. I got the first half lines up. Yeah. No, it is 16. I'm sorry.
Suns laying 16 total, 223.5. I'm going to say it right now. The performance last night by the Oklahoma City Thunder was the most pathetic performance of the season in the NBA. Lose by 57, okay, to Indiana. Okay, now Indiana, remember, no Brogdon, no Turner. Sabonis was just coming back from injury. They're a mass unit right now. They have very few players playing the Pacers, and the Thunder lost by 57 tonight. You got to figure you're not going to get Dort tonight. Pokusevski may not play. But then again, you got to look for the Suns and say, do you just rest some players here? I would rest. How do you not rest Chris Paul here? Would you?
I don't see him on the list at all. It looks like
I know he's not, but it's like, why not? Like, why are you playing him here?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're not going to lose.
I don't think so either. I think that this line movement's a little out of control, though.
Yeah, laying 16 in an NBA game is tough. And this is another game I would just say to skip. But let's remember, Spread, Suns 39-23 against the number. This season as a double-digit favorite, 7-5. Okay? Yeah. They've made money, but they have not been a double-digit favorite over 15. In fact, most teams are never double-digit favorites. But Oklahoma City is on a back-to-back. They just lost by 57. I mean, they may have the worst roster in the NBA. I mean, and there are like 3 or 4 teams that are really horrific. So like Houston, Oklahoma City, Cleveland, those teams are just dreadful. So do you lean over? Maybe you got to figure that the Suns get into the 120s here. Can Oklahoma City get to 100?
And that's the question. I mean, when it comes to OKC, crazy. I want that Lou Dort news before I make a move here. I can live without Poku or Muscala in the lineup, but I want to know if Lou Dort's playing.
Spread this game screams like 131, 103 to me.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the Thunder. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean the Thunder have the worst net rating in the league. They're actually like the luckiest team in the league. For how bad their net rating is, they should have like the worst record in the league. And they don't. They've won 21 games so far. So it's kind of amazing that they managed to get so many wins while having a negative 10 net rating.
I mean, you look at this, like last night, this was their starting 5 last night. I mean, listen to this. This is shocking. Darius Bazley, Isaiah Roby, Moses Brown, Theo Maledon, Charlie Brown Jr.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
I mean, Charlie Brown was just signed like 5 days ago, right? I mean, he wasn't even in the NBA like 5 days ago. Yeah.
And then the rest of the rotation was Gabriel Deck, Josh Hall. Josh Hall, isn't that a TikToker? I think. Yeah. Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley had 13. He's the best player last night. And Svi Mikhailuk. I mean, look, if that group gets thrown out there tonight, I would keep an eye on starting lineups. If no Dort or or Pokashevsky. Listen, you just gotta lay the 16. I'm not gonna tell you to do it because I don't need to tell you to do this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna bet the Thunder here. Ugly Thunder group.
Yeah, Gabriel Deck, 2017 MVP in Argentina, comes over here, washes out in the G League, heads back home. Then the Thunder are below the salary cap floor, so they sign him to bring him back. They put him on a 4-year deal, but only this year is guaranteed. Basically so to get to the salary cap floor because they were so low. So yeah, this is not an NBA team they're throwing out here.
Yeah, again, I'm going to make this clear. You can make the case. This is the current roster, like active players. This is the worst active roster I've ever seen. And listen, remember,
you were there with the process Sixers,
yes,
right?
I went through the tanks. I went through the really rough years with the Sixers. Ish Smith and Henry Sims and just bad teams. So yeah, this is a bad roster. Next one, Sacramento at Dallas. Dallas laying 6, total 227. Mavs win last night. Do not cover though. Luka triple double. I mean, just incredible numbers. No Fox, no Harrison Barnes tonight. They're still out. Mavs offense has been playing well. Listen, I'm going to come out and say it. Do you just play over team total anytime that the Kings play for the opposite team? I mean,
yeah.
We talk about how awful rosters.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the case it's the worst defense ever assembled in the NBA. I mean, they are truly horrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really bad here. Obviously, I think this is an easy game to get square on. I think this over is low for a Kings game, only 227. I'll take that. And then, of course, I like the favorite here. The Kings squeaked out a win against the Lakers. I don't even know how that happened. Harrison Barnes means so much to that team. I actually put that game more as a reflection of the Lakers and the Kings, but without Harrison Barnes, I just don't think this team can get it done. Obviously, you mentioned missing their only potential all-star in De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, great draft pick, great future. I think it's going to be too much for him to handle tonight. Buddy Hield's been checked out since he got the check. He basically just wants to shoot threes. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't pass. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't shoot twos. He doesn't go to the rim. I think he's so tough to put a winning lineup on the floor. Bagley's back. Bagley reminds me of the guy that you guys had, Okafor, right? He gets you 18 and 8 and doesn't help you win at all because his defense is so terrible. And then Rashawn Holmes, probably the lone bright spot for the Kings here. But give me the Dallas Mavericks, who, even though they did not cover last night, have been on quite the run lately. With that weird stuff that went on last night, they actually took 5th place in the standings, bumped the Lakers down to 6. We know that these teams are jockeying for that position. So I like Dallas here to get it done, and I think the over is a good look. I thought this number was going to be around 234. This was the biggest discrepancy I had the board, that it only came in at 227.
Yeah, I will say this. When I see games like this, my first thought is I'm going to just kind of simplify it and take the team that I know is going to score, that has, for the most part, the complement of players.
Yeah.
The King – and look, Dallas, I think, is solid defensively. They're not great. If I had to play this, I would just lean on Mavs over 116.5 or whatever it is now. I think they get to 120. As we know, Kings are dreadful. But the Kings are a team that continue to have a lot of issues without Fox, without certain guys. Halliburton's doing what he can, but they're just not getting the rest of the group to contribute. Thanks to everyone for watching. People starting to check in on the regular with this show, which we appreciate. We are here every day at noon Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. We're here every day at 12 Eastern. We have different guests from around the NBA gambling community that come on. We cap the card. We take your questions. We give out plays on every game. Look, what you do with the games is up to you, but we are going to give you our info, our advice, what we would do, and what we see. Because maybe we see something you don't, or maybe you see something we don't. That's what we do here on the Hoops Betting Hour, presented by Pickswise and powered by FanDuel. Final game, Spread Astaire, and then we'll get to some best bets. Maybe we'll chat about the NFL draft for a minute or two and get on out of here. The LA Lakers are back. The Showtime Lakers are laying 7.5 tonight in Staples against Toronto. Total 217. Uh, Look, LeBron is back. Obviously, that's huge. Um, but you look at both these teams, neither have scored very consistently. Both offenses have struggled at times. We know with the Lakers what we're getting. We are getting the best defensive team in the NBA, better than Philadelphia, better than Miami, better than everybody. Number one in defensive efficiency. We also know with the Lakers, this is the best under team in the NBA. Again, because they defend at such a high level. Again, because they are not that consistent offensively. And when you look at Toronto, third in the NBA in points scored from the 3-point line, they are very dependent on threes. Okay, you look at just what they do. It's what they do. This is a Laker team just good on all levels defensively. Good against the three, fourth in the NBA. Good against twos, just so good on the defensive level. Um, Two slow teams, kind of middle of the road from a pace perspective. We mentioned how good the Lakers are under the total. Um, if I had to play it, I'm leaning under. But the Lakers, I think, offensively are going to break out at any point with LeBron back. It's the late game on the card. I think it is a standalone game as far as I know. Yep, 10-15. I'm not a big bettor as far as standalone games. The lines are always very sharp. All we need is a minute or two of good offense for this one to find its way over. I'm not going to play it. Lean under, though.
Yeah, so the way I'm looking in this game, and I didn't take it yet because I don't know what's going on with this Los Angeles team. I thought they would absolutely smack Sacramento the other night in LeBron's return. I think they forced him back here a little too early. I think he rushed back. I think they are really under some pressure from the scoreboard and the standings. I don't think
Yes.
they want that playing at all. I think that if they were winning like they had hoped when Davis came back, I don't think that he'd be playing yet. So I think that's the reason why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's just in the lineup.
I don't understand this thought process here because, you're going to make the playoffs. I mean, but it's interesting with the Lakers. You're going to make the playoffs. Why run? Why do this? I mean, I don't get the thought.
My guess is if you miss the play-in, it almost gives you a week off. The season ends on Sunday, May 16th,
Yep.
and the official playoffs start on Saturday, May 22nd. But you might not even play till Sunday, the 23rd, depending on what days the Western and Eastern Conference plays their playing games. So my guess, the idea is you rush back now so you can get that week off there in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, again, I get it. I then again, I don't get it. But all in all, I don't trust either offensive team. I think you mentioned LeBron maybe rush back a little quick. We know both teams pretty good defensively. I'll lean under, but it's not a strong play to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think on this way, if you're going to play this game, you guys, you can only play the Lakers here, and let me tell you why. I watched the game last night. I was on Toronto. It was nice to get the cover, but this team was dog tired at the end. If it wasn't for fatigue, I think they would have won that game. I think they matched up well. They completely pooped out. You watch, and Nurse wanted that game. They wanted that game last night. The starters played as a unit. 16 minutes in the fourth quarter. Van Fleet and Siakam both played 21 minutes in the fourth quarter, right? So they ran them right to the end in the altitude in Utah, and they were dog tired. They shot 4 of 21 from the field in the fourth quarter. That's why they went into the third quarter with the lead, and they almost blew the cover of a +7 here when they were able to. They got out of there with just 4, but this team was tired here. I think if you are going to play it, you only look to the Lakers. This is a terrible scheduling spot for Toronto. So even though that 7.5 looks tempting, you get the touchdown and the hook. Don't be tempted here. It's Lakers or pass for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you make a good point about the scheduling spot. Could be one of those games where Lakers just kind of pull away, win by double digits, and it is what it is for Toronto. You mentioned, did you say throwaway game for Toronto?
I mean, yeah, it's just a bad schedule spot.
I think when you were on here last time, remember we kind of hashed out one of those as well. I forget what game it was, but okay. Best bets. I'm going to go Portland. I got 1.5 against the Celtics. I'm also going to go Seth Curry over 9.5, and I'm going to just stick with those two. What do you got, Spread Astaire?
I'm going to go ahead and take your Philadelphia 76ers -6 in San Antonio. don't want to disrespect this San Antonio team. I just think it's a terrible matchup. I think you'll really see the advantage that Philly has in size. Such a big team here, and I really don't see how they're going to have an answer for Embiid, Simmons, and I think Harris is even going to look pretty big out there as well. So I like the Sixers to keep it rolling. We like to fade teams on their first game back home, almost treat it like a road game, but the line is treating it like a home game. I'll go ahead and take the Philadelphia 76ers -6.
Like it a lot. They seem to be just kind of a tough matchup for the Spurs. Before we go, obviously make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. Make sure you hit the like button. Let us know what you enjoy about the show, what you would add, what you would change, whatever. If you ever have a guest you want me to bring on, make sure you reach out to me. As far as Spread Astaire, he will be back next week. He started out the show. He ended the week here with us here on a Sunday. Spread, always great to hear from you. You can follow Spread on Twitter at Spread Astaire. You got a lot going on. Spread, did you watch the NFL draft? Who is your team, by the way? Do you have a team?
I like the Raiders. So.
Okay.
We're probably the only team worse drafting than your favorite team.
Yeah, well, as we know, the Eagles are the worst drafting team in the NFL. The Raiders, though, I didn't look again. I don't ever quite understand what they do. Didn't understand reaching for Alex Leatherwood. But they addressed the offensive line. Go out and get Leatherwood. They added Jimmy Morrissey, the center out of Pittsburgh. I like that move. Got a great free safety and Trevon Mooring out of TCU.
Yeah,
really kind of addressed the corner and the safety spot, which. I didn't hate what they did. I think it was important that they go out and address the secondary. For I think a while, this has been a pretty bad secondary. But I think coming into even last year and then this year, this is a very young secondary. You have Jonathan Abram at your strong safety, Trevon Mullen at corner. You get Mooring as your other safety, Damon Arnett on the right side. And then my favorite corner of the draft last year, Amik Robertson. I loved Amik Robertson out of La Tech. I think this secondary is really got the ability and intriguing down the road in a year or two, maybe even next year. I think this is a team that's going to take a major step forward defensively. I like Yannick Ngakoue. He never really has found a home, but I think when on, he's really good. I like Cleveland Farrell. Max Crosby really came on last year. I think this is a defense to really keep an eye on. I really do. And I think this offense, I just think they've started to really address positions. All of a sudden, this offensive line is solid. They're starting to block for Derek Carr. Josh Jacobs is a star running back. You had a good backup in Kenyon Drake. I'm telling you, man, the Raiders are interesting, man. They are really interesting. Look, the Chiefs are legit. We know how good they are. I think the Patriots take a major step forward. But I'll tell you, from a future standpoint, you always want to keep your eye on what you see. The Oakland Raiders are a team that I am keeping my eye on and will continue to be intrigued by.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Gus Bradley is going to be the key to all this. I think they've had talent here. I think that Gunther was past his prime. He'd had a lot of success in 2010. But these leagues, NBA and NFL, they've changed so much in the last 10 years. They probably changed more in the last 10 years than they did the 50 previous to that, right? So a lot of times these guys that have these systems, they just don't work anymore, and I feel that was the case. It seemed pretty complicated. If Bradley can just get these guys to wrap up, and tackle and use some fundamentals here, they could be pretty good. I think the major complaint for the Raiders is obviously that they don't trade back, right? They get these guys that are, everyone's mocking them to go 30 and 40, and who knows how much that really means. But when it's happened like 4 years in a row now where it's just like some sort of major reach, you wonder why they're not, identifying where these guys should go. And maybe, if you get a couple extra fourth rounders here and there.
It's 2 straight years where they've drafted Colton Miller way early and this year Leatherwood. Keep in mind, Raiders have made the playoffs just 4 times since 2000. You know that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, again, I think sometimes when I talk about futures, people are like, well, they're not going to win. But it's like 65-1 is a really too high, in my opinion.
Yeah. What did you think about the rest of the draft? So obviously we'll take Lawrence out of this question, but besides Trevor Lawrence, who do you think the best quarterback will be out of this draft?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the kid that has the most opportunity succeeds. You got to say Mac Jones up in New England. I thought that was just a terrific selection. They didn't have to move. I identified kind of the 49ers and the New England Patriots as the two teams I think he would do really well at. He's just going into a good situation, kind of like Justin Herbert did at LA. I think he kind of found his way. I think a lot of these guys are all boomer bust. Trey Lance, what are we getting at him? He only played 16 games at North Dakota State. He's either going to be Mitch Trubisky or Kyler Murray. We'll see. I'm going to say Mac Jones. I have a weird feeling look, I think he'll get compared to Tom Brady just because he's going there. He's kind of got that same body type. Yeah. No one will ever compare him to Tom Brady. And in fact, one of the worst comparisons I've ever made was I compared Luke Falk to Tom Brady. Luke Falk's not in the NFL anymore.
Right.
But I think Mac Jones is really intriguing because I think they're an interesting team. I think they're going to be right back in the swing of things coming up this year. And I think, to be under Belichick, to kind of just have it work the way it did, I think Mac Jones is going to be really set up. I'm interested to see what Justin Fields does in Chicago because, look, I know a lot of Bear fans. I've met a lot of Bear fans over the years. They're passionate people. Chicago's a great city. They have just had dreadful quarterback play for really my whole life. I don't ever remember them having a good quarterback.
Right.
And I kind of hope they do. I think they deserve it in Chicago. I'm sick of seeing Aaron Rodgers succeed. So I'm hoping all these quarterbacks play well. I will say one team that I think is really on the precipice of being they are a Super Bowl contender. They've come up short, but I actually bet them yesterday at 15-1. It's the Baltimore Ravens. I think for me, I've just wanted to see this team. I think defensively, they're always very good. I mean, that's something that I think they've succeeded at really for years, really my whole life. I think they really just had to fortify some depth, and I think they did that. Getting a nickel and Sean Wade where they did, I think that makes sense. You get the kid Owai out of Penn State to kind of fortify the linebacker position. They're good on the defensive end. But the main thing for me was, were you going to go out and add to that home run hitter you got last year in Philly or in Marquise Brown? You get Sammy Watkins, and you add to me, I could make the case. I think Rashad Bateman is the fourth best receiver in this class. He is really high level. I loved him at Minnesota. He was a matchup nightmare in the Big Ten at times. He is one of the best slant receivers I've ever seen. I really like him as a receiver. And the fact that you got him as well as Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State, who's one of the best pass catchers in this draft, I like what they did. I also like the fact they went out and added Ben Cleveland to the offensive line. You got Ronnie Stanley. You got Kevin Zeitler. You got Bradley Bozeman. This is a really good football team. It really comes down to, can Lamar Jackson make the throws in the playoffs? That's going to matter. But what we saw last year, Spread, adding a guy like Stephon Diggs to Josh Allen makes him just that way better quarterback. Look, they don't have a Stephon Diggs on this roster, but they have three really good receivers on this team.
All right, and I got to ask you, I think the most fascinating storyline going into the season, obviously Trevor Lawrence, right, is going to be fantastic. But how does Urban Meyer do in the NFL, right? We've seen some coaches come in and ball out. We've seen some coaches come in and fail. Urban Meyer seems like that workaholic type to me. I think he's going to do pretty well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself, is he going to be Nick Saban in the NFL, or is he going to be, a pleasant surprise like maybe Cliff Kingsbury or somebody like that? I think he obviously liked the situation he was heading into. He's going to be able to choose, and he's going to get that quarterback that he wants in Trevor Lawrence, who is no doubt the best player in this class as far as quarterback's concerned. I don't know. It's going to take some growing pains. It's not easy to come in. We obviously have an interesting offseason, and it's not the norm, but it would have sucked if he was starting out last season because of just the offseason that we had. But I'm pleasantly excited about Urban Meyer. I think, this team has, we have to remember, I mean, in 2018, this team was about 7 minutes away from going to the Super Bowl. I mean, they were right there with Blake Bortles. So I think they have to get back to the days where they were really good defensively. I mean, that year they were very good on that end. Yeah. The last couple of years, they have been a dreadful team defensively. I mean, but you look at this season, really addressed it. Went out and got Tyson Campbell, got Andre Sisco at safety, have C.J. Henderson, have Shaq Griffin, who they grabbed from Seattle. They have, I think, a group up front that can rush the passer, and Jihad Ward and Josh Allen and Miles Jack. They'll take some growing pains. Are they going to win this division? No. But I think they're going to be a tough out. I think they do pretty well on both ends. And it's all going to be about Lawrence. But they'll take those shots, but they're going and getting there. And I think that's what you want if you're Jacksonville. Good hire.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch. I was thinking about today, like week 1, I'm going to have Jacksonville on the TV. I just got to see. And I know a lot of people are going to be watching for Lawrence. I'm really watching. I want to see how well Urban Meyer does. I mean, I'm just fascinated by him. I mean, what he did in Utah, I think, kind of gets underrated. And then, of course, he goes to the power programs where you're expected to succeed, but he still exceeded expectations. He just seems like the type of guy that doesn't lose. I'll be really interested to see what he does with that perennial losing franchise.
Yeah, when it comes to college to pro and pro systems, even in college systems, there are always those kids that are just on another level where they're just better than everybody else. And when you watch Trevor Lawrence, there were times at Clemson. I mean, and last year, I think we have to remember, he went out with the coronavirus for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
That was definitely, and again, it was just a weird season. So we have to remember 2019 Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's just elite. He's going to do really well at the NFL level. That's that for us. Always good to talk about the NFL draft. We put a bow on that. Next week, we are back. Blackjack Fletcher will join us for Monday's show where we take a look at the NBA betting card and we keep it pushing towards the NBA playoffs. I'm the big man on campus. He's Spread Astaire. Always good to talk to Spread. Spread always great basketball acumen to the show. Spread, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jeff. I'm looking forward to next Sunday, and hopefully we can get some winners before then.
Yeah, looking forward to 3:45 with the Bucks and Nets. Should be a great game. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you here Monday here on Pickswise on the Hoops Betting Hour at noon Eastern. See ya.